Mario Kart Wii was released in 2008, and from launch day, the game has seen competitive action both on and offline. One of the main ways of competing in Mario Kart Wii is through time trials. Because of this game's immense deluge of shortcuts, glitches and strategies, that competitive scene is still going strong to this day, over 17 years on from the game's initial release. But recently there has been some controversy around a certain technique known as pause buffering, and whether this technique should be allowed, disallowed, or allowed in part in time trial runs. There are two ways a player can pause Mario Kart Wii: the in-game pause menu or the home menu. Firstly, let's look at home menu buffering. When a player pauses using the home menu, this screen pops up, and you are then able to position your hands ready for when the screen unpauses. You can then unpause by pressing the same button and, crucially, press the home button again without any delay, even on the very next frame. By using the home menu, a player is able to effectively cue the inputs for the first frame in which the home menu is then unpressed. Since the home menu does not have any cooldown between presses, a player could play the game one frame at a time. Although a full time trial has never been completed frame by frame using this method, it is theoretically possible for a player to use techniques such as super grinding or rapid fire hopping in vanilla Mario Kart Wii, i.e. the unmodified version of the game you can boot up on your disc channel. It is clear to see then how home menu buffering could gain a player a significant advantage. Pause buffering refers to the technique in which players can pause the game using the in-game menu whilst playing a time trial to gain an advantage. If you or I were to play a track, we would drive 3 laps around a course with no need to pause at all. However, some strategies in this game require very precise inputs. For example, chain wheelies. These are a frame perfect trick, usually performed by timing your wheelie to lose as little speed as possible on long straights. These are usually timed from sound cues, visual aids, or for veterans of the game, judging the time from one wheelie to the next. Depending on how close to the optimal frame you press your input, you will lose from 3 units of speed and up to 13, or more if you miss the initial 4 frame window. Pause buffering is a way in which the player is able to reduce the chance of missing this optimal frame window with a much higher consistency than would otherwise be possible. Emil from CTGP Records has a video detailing the technical side of pause buffering, which I highly encourage anyone curious to go and check out. Unlike the home menu, the in-game pause menu does have a 300 millisecond cooldown between when you can go off and then back onto it. This cooldown prevents players from advancing the game frame by frame, and therefore prevents certain types of abuse such as rapid fire hopping or super grinding. While pause buffering does not change the inputs a player can achieve in the game, it can seriously improve a player's chances of hitting very hard, often frame perfect tricks, and much more difficult alignments than would otherwise be possible. In 2018, a series of runs were set on DS Peach Gardens. The times were, at that point, the official world records on the track. However, they used pause buffering to improve the consistency of this turn, which requires you to move the analog stick from right to left extremely fast to gain airtime and save time. Around early 2019, a forum thread was created titled "Pausing Mid-Run, Thoughts?" In February 2019, due to this thread, pause buffering was officially banned in Mario Kart Wii time trials. Further to this, a community vote was held in which it was decided that both in-game pause menu and home menu buffering for runs was banned, where using the pause/home button would gain a driving related advantage. You may be wondering why then. This rule is being reworked now, and it stems from an individual who was wanting to remove times which did pause during the runs, but in a way in which this sole player felt gained the time trialer a significant advantage. The runs in question were also set a number of years before the pause buffering rule was even in place. The runs are still up on the leaderboards, but the controversy stemming from these messages has essentially triggered this new pause buffering debate. The co-creator and developer of CTGP, which is the main software players use to prove that their time is not cheated, is working closely with the community on a solution to the problem of pause buffering. Mr. Bean 35000VR has developed a system which can track pause time location and duration during time trials. Unfortunately, it's not possible to differentiate between when a player pauses using the home button or the traditional in-game pause menu. However, he is able to disable the home menu entirely during live runs, which means if players were to pause at all, it can be determined that it is only the in-game less broken menu which is able to be used. Presumably due to the combination of potential home menu buffering abuse in conjunction with the new pause buffering rule set being added, the Mario Kart Wii moderation team has decided to allow Mr. Bean to disable the home menu during unpaused time trials. Pause buffering, or pausing at all during a time trial, that is a bit more messy. The struggle comes from the wording on the current rules around pausing during runs. The subjectivity to the term driving related advantage is not a clearly defined line. Whilst pausing to chain a wheelie or pausing to execute this hop on Peach Gardens are considered driving related advantages, pausing out of habit during glitch runs is not, but could be if you take long enough to unpause before a glitch. Furthermore, if I were on a world record pace and made this glitch, would it be considered a legal time if I were to pause the game here, gather my thoughts and calm my nerves for 20 minutes and then continue to the end of the run? Is pausing to calm the nerves a driving related advantage? The ability to pause your game is built into Mario Kart Wii. By disallowing or outright preventing one or multiple forms of pausing during runs, it could be seen that times are straying further from vanilla Mario Kart Wii. This deviation from playing the vanilla game has caused controversy with the community in the past, with the recent anti-task system being a prime example. There are notably two rather large Mario Kart community examples from other titles which I feel are relevant to this discussion. Mario Kart 64 allows you to pause during time trials, but does not save the ghost if you do. This was proposed as a potential solution to the original topic thread back in 2019. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trials, on the other hand, actively use pausing to give players a competitive advantage, and use techniques to create otherwise inaccessible lines. So what's the solution for Mario Kart Wii? Following the recent controversy around the rule set, there is a poll circulating in the Mario Kart Wii community to decide the future rule set of time trials in respect to pause buffering. It has already been decided that no home menuing will be allowed in any Mario Kart Wii time trials moving forward, and this will be actively implemented into ZGP to prevent players home buffering. The choice is therefore between 1. Allowing any and all use of the pause menu, or 2. Electing a council of people annually who would scrutinise new top-level runs which have pause time in them to judge whether pausing was used advantageously on a case-by-case, subjective basis. The first option would see previously banned times which the community voted to disallow, and which currently sit on a separate pause buffered runs leaderboard, return to the game and the official leaderboard rankings. The second option would not. The poll is currently active as of uploading this video, and I have been asked to keep this poll away from this video to ensure results are limited to those who are active in the Mario Kart Wii community, to which I fully agree. With that being said, if you are in the Mario Kart Wii community and have a spare few minutes, please do vote. You should already know where to do so. Those are the facts. What I'm about to say is my opinion, as a decade-long community member, former world record holder and active high-level time trialer on the situation. I will leave this opinion on screen until I'm done with my thoughts. If all use of the pause menu is deemed fine, then I don't particularly want to be watching Twitch streams of players pausing every 3 seconds to get a good chain. I do see how it could lower the game's overall times, but personally the sacrifice of enjoyment from pausing in this way would ruin what I consider to be the heart of this game, that little bit of luck. It could potentially destroy the competitive side of high-level time trials. Equally, I see flaws with the current second option in the poll as well. The election of people could be biased. Humans are humans, and unfortunately that can lead to sour feelings which could create some really sticky situations within the community in the future. The wording of advantageously needs further defining, as some examples given during this video, such as pausing to calm nerves, could lean either way. Personally, I enjoy driving a full 3-lap time trial without pausing at all, and feel the achievement of battling your nerves past lap 3 on a world record pace gives you a feeling of much greater satisfaction than pausing ever could. But equally, I realise pausing is in the game's mechanics, and unlike with Mario Kart 64, pausing doesn't delete your ghost, so pause buffering is technically a vanilla Mario Kart Wii game mechanic. But where do you draw the line? Whilst I want to experience the heightened elation from the adrenaline crossing lap 3, I don't think it's fair or realistic to outright ban pausing. Also, you shouldn't be penalised for accidentally pausing during runs, or pausing in non-helpful spots for unrelated reasons. I'll leave you with this thought. What is considered fair and in the spirit of competition? There really is no right answer here, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this, so please let me know in the comments below. I've deliberately removed all players' names from this video because the former runs that have used pause buffering in the past are not the subject of discussion here in my view, but rather the topic of allowing the use of pause menu during runs moving forward. I'll be covering the results of this poll here on this channel in an update video, so if you are curious then please consider subscribing. Thank you to all the mods of the community who are doing amazing work in respect of the rule set discussion, poll and potential change, and thank you, viewer, for watching.